For about 4 years, we have been just keeping our fingers crossed every October 1st when we would turn the boiler on. Last October 2020, we turned the boiler on and everything was working fine. And then come February, I went down in the basement and there was water all over the place. The pump had decided to quit working. The original furnace, or that furnace, was put in 1947. And you could not just go out and buy another pump. So that started the search for replacing the unit down in the basement for the whole building.
The challenge that we faced at the council center was we had an old boiler system there, and should we replace the boiler? Should we just totally sacrifice the boiler and hook up something totally different? And so we were weighing all the costs about what system that we should put in there. And then when the multiple companies came in and gave us bids on what was happening there, we just finally decided to go with a whole new setup. And after we interviewed 3 or 4 or 5 different companies, our committee at the church really sat down and decided that Superior was the better way to go.
So the church got a hold of Pete, and they've done other business with him at the church and here. So got a hold of him, he came out, we did a walkthrough, what could be done, because we have no ductwork in the building. We knew that we would have to get ductwork. We have window air conditionings. They decided that they would, if we were going to take the plunge and get a whole new furnace system, we'd get central air too.
And so the whole needs of what was down there at the council center was going to be totally taken care of, both heating and cooling. Up to this point, they were separating their heating and cooling by putting air conditioners in the windows to kind of keep it cool, but then wintertime they would set the boiler up. Well, that thing died finally, and so we decided to just go with a whole new system, and I'll tell you, it was just absolutely the answer to our needs, totally.
We're replacing a hot water boiler system. It was antiquated, somewhat inefficient. They weren't comfortable. There was no zoning in there. The rooms were very hot. Some rooms were cold, so the people inside the building weren't comfortable at all.
Yeah, it's whenever we would come into the building, I'm normally the first one here, so I open it up, and you just say your little prayer as you're unlocking the door that there's going to be heat, because was many a times that we would walk in and the thermostat, the old thermostat's on the wall. And as you come through the door, you just kind of glance over at it to see what the temperature of the building is. And if it was down in the 60s, you knew the boiler just wasn't going to work that day.
So we're putting in something more, what we feel is, we call it, it's like state-of-the-art, cutting-edge type system with that DAIKEN Life.
I was the first one on site from our company, and I was the one that came up with the idea to try this DAIKEN Life system. I thought it would work out perfectly in the application, and it seemed to fit the building well, and I thought that we could handle the whole building and handle all the customers' needs all with one system, and we were able to do that.
I come out to the job site, I look it over with him. We just kind of make sure that everything we have, or his plan is going to work, and it looked pretty good. We made a couple of minor adjustments. Landon Warren from DAIKEN came out with us. He looked everything over.
Superior got a hold of us about midway through the project after Jesse reviewed it, went through it with the customer and kind of made his suggestions, and then got me involved and wanted to kind of double check everything over.
I guess their old heating system could no longer be repaired, and they were trying to come up with a solution to get a new, more modern heating system into the building, plus also add air conditioning to it, if it was possible, into the old style building that they had.
We just wanted to make sure the owner had the best comfort, efficiency for the building, and that was our concern in the beginning, to help them be able to achieve that.
Yeah, the building makeup didn't really allow for a traditional system to be installed in that building. There was no real areas to be able to run ductwork throughout a lot of the building, so to hit the size in the commercial building aspect of that, we had to come up with a different solution, and that's where this DAIKEN Life system really fit the application perfectly.
It's very flexible in itself. You have one outdoor unit, you can have multiple indoor units, all tied to a gas furnace. We have the ability to run heat pump and gas furnace actually at the same time, so that's really what's so unique. So if there's lots of different areas, let's say in a home or a building, we have the ability to run gas furnace maybe as a main zone, and then be able to run heat pump in all the other zones. So it's, again, a very flexible design.
There wasn't any heat ducts at all. So they had hot water heat, so they had piping and boiler heat, and they had wall air conditioners, like through the wall or through the windows. And so that's how they were cooling the space.
The building is an old building. It's over 100 years old, and you know, when there was just no place to run traditional ductwork, it didn't allow for that throughout most of the building. So we had to come up with a different solution to get heating and cooling into each individual area.
It was there was a lot of old building complications. The construction, there wasn't a lot of room to run, you know, traditional ductwork.
We had a lot of challenges with, you know, big brick walls that we had to go through. You know, there was very limited space. Even in the areas themselves, there was very limited space to deal with. So, you know, we had to find a solution for that.
And that's where the DAIKEN Life System came in for us, for us to use that product to be able to achieve, you know, in the comfort and efficiency for the owner.
Again, they have the ability to change between gas furnace mode and heat pump mode throughout the winter at any set outdoor temperature. So that's really an efficiency standpoint, it's huge because they get to choose whether they want to run gas or they want to run heat pump. So from that standpoint, depending on electric rates and gas rates, they can really do what they want with that.
Without the DAIKEN Life system, we would have probably had to go with a more traditional route of maybe even keeping the existing boiler system and update it with a newer boiler, but they wouldn't have been able to get air conditioning throughout, or we might have had to maybe done a traditional mini split system with the boiler system to achieve it. Whereas with this system that we put in, we were able to get rid of the boiler completely from the building and do it all via heat pump or gas furnaces, which made the system much more efficient and quieter operation as well.
Sometimes you sit there and wonder if it's on, and you just kind of position yourself in front of the units to see, well, I can feel the heat, I can feel the air, so it must be working, but there's no noise. The old system that we had here in the lobby, it would run constantly and it was very loud. You could not come out to the lobby and talk with someone and be able to talk normal and hear them.
The process was supposed to take 6 to 8 weeks, but I think they did it in like 4. So they really met all expectations as far as expediting the installation. They were able to work around all the schedules for the counselors there, because they really are sensitive meetings they have there with people who are going through some serious things.
They knew, Pete knew, and the crew knew what we do here. And we, you know, really strive for the confidentiality for our clients, and we try to make it a nice, quiet atmosphere, relaxing atmosphere. And the guys, the crew themselves, they were great. They would come in extra early in the morning and do a lot of the loud work before the therapist would come in, and then they would do, you know, other work that minimum noise.
And so they were able to work on weekends, at night, you know, when there's nobody down there, because obviously it makes a lot of noise when they're drilling holes and putting duct work and things like that in there. But they just really did a great job working around all the schedules of the counselors there at the council center.
They were extremely great to work with and just respectful of everybody in the building.
It's newer. The technology has been around for a long time. DAIKEN has been developing it and improving it over the years for quite a long time. This is more of a residential version. So it was, you know, it's been around for maybe 5 or 6 years, but it's very efficient.
Well, whenever you put a new system in, you're always going to have tweaky things. And so they had a couple little tweak things here, but they were able to answer them right away. They came down, took a look at the situation, remedied it, and it's all taken care of. So it's just running like a smooth Swiss watch.
Once we got everything installed for them, we went over some training with the manager, the office manager there. Her name is Jean, and she was in control. She has control of the thermostats and the wall controls, and she's using the app for the the Wi-Fi for the phone. And now that she's getting the hang of it, she likes it. And she likes to set temperatures and humidity and fans in different locations of the building to help keep her counselors comfortable and the people that are there comfortable.
It's very user-friendly because they each have their own remote or wall stack depending on which zone you're in. So each customer really has, or each tenant or whoever's in that room really has their own choice of temperature. So it's completely zoned, not necessarily just with ductwork, but we're zoning with refrigerant and line sets. So it's true zoning. We're putting the air right into the space.
I'm able to adjust the temperature. It was cold last night. So this morning, about 6 o'clock this morning, I turned the heat on from home for the building, and we hadn't turned the heat on yet. But I was able, by the time I got here, it was a nice 70 degrees in here versus the 66 that it was yesterday.
So each system we put in, it all combines into the DAIKEN Life. So you have one outside unit, and then there's different wall units inside the space and a furnace, and each unit has its own comfort control or thermostat. So you can regulate in smaller spaces, so you really helps the customer feel comfortable, and it takes care of the cooling, humidity, and heating.
Walking in a building that's cool, I used to walk in here in Monday morning, and if it was a hot weekend, because we had individual air conditioners, okay? And if it was a hot weekend, it would be 98 degrees in this building. And then I would have to go around and turn on all the window air conditioners in all the rooms in order to try and get it cooled down by the time that the therapist and the clients start coming in. Walking in here and there's a consistent temperature throughout the building, I don't have to come in early. I know what the temperature is going to be. I can, if it's really cold and we had a deep frost or something at night, I can adjust the temperature from home. I can do it from there and have the temperature exactly what it's supposed to be by the time the clients get here.
Once the system was all complete, I was very pleased with the results. We've only been able to test it on the cooling side so far, and it's been working fantastic. Everybody I've spoke to in that building has been pleased and happy with the outcome.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think it's tremendous. Again, like Jesse said, I don't think we got to review this in the winter, but we have with other projects before, and it's a great solution. Again, it gives you the flexibility, it gives you the comfort. The design aspect is really one of a kind to be able to design this or a certain way that we did. You have a little bit of gas furnace in there again and heat pump, and those systems have the ability to ramp up and down to really kind of load match the building.
Really what sold us on it was the price, all right, for what we got. It was just a dynamite system, but really it was just the efficiency of the whole unit. The other companies were gonna do a different setup with mini splits, and even though we do have mini splits down there, but the way they integrated into the DAIKEN system, it just really told us that this is the direction we needed to go.
Well, yeah, it's quite a complex system, so and that's really why we selected Superior as a DAIKEN Comfort Pro. Part of that is there's a select amount of dealers that we have around the country, and they really fit that mold because of their expertise and technical experience that they've had, not just now, but previous as well. So he just wanted to make sure that everything was working well as far as the layout and the design of it. It's a very flexible design, so there's a lot to the not only this project, but the product as well.
I'm very happy. Yeah, the customer's happy, I'm happy. We had Bruce was here today. He was our contact at Colonial Woods to help orchestrate the job with us, and he brought his needs to us, and it was nice to see him satisfied with the product, and for him to be able to come here and talk with us and stand behind us on this and say that we did a good job. It felt really good.
Yeah, that's the most important thing is who we choose to be able to design the system, and Superior fits the entire mold, and that's really why we chose them to be a DCP, is because it does take so much technical expertise. It is a technical system. Once you understand it though, it's pretty smooth.
And we're really pleased at what Superior did for us there at the Council Center, and would recommend them to anybody for this kind of application.
I talked to Pete when they first started this. It's like I'm building a new home. I told them next summer I'm calling them for my air conditioner. So the guys are great. The guys are great to work with. Pete's great to work with. You get a phone call, they come right out. There's not an issue at all for service or anything.